Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Welcome to all the guests. Welcome to Judah David. Wow. And Rabbi Sai, right next to Levi Friedman, we have a guest. What's your name? Yosef Korn from? I think I met you once or twice, at least. Yosef from Bergenfield, New Jersey. Shalom Aleichem. Delayed Hanukkah email. This is a delayed Hanukkah email. Good morning, Rebelli. Once again, my name is Yitzchak Friedman, a chassid from Borough Park. I'm part of the MDY family since Nedarim. I enjoy listening to share every day. I haven't missed a daf since. No matter where I am and what hour of the day. It's thanks to Rebelli for putting such a geschmack into the daf, which gives me the push not to miss a daf. I volunteer for an organization named Tanzers, which puts smiles on sick kids, adults, and family members of the sick. We made a Hanukkah party for around 200 sick kids and their families. We once again got the whole crowd to do the Good Morning Rabbi sign, the smiles and the chiyus and the shmak and the oil. It was unbelievable. Keep up the great work. It should be a zchus for the whole Klal Yisroel. See attached video. Thanks again for the uplifting Motzi Shabbos event at the MDY Shabbaton. Looking forward to the next one and to be able to join for the entire Shabbos. Chazak v'ematz Yitzchak Friedman Talmud since Nedarim. Here it is. Hold on. Let's get to it. Oh.
Good morning, Rabbi Sai. I'm a Chaya. Mamash I'm a Chaya.
Just as Avram Avinu discovered Hashem by observing the world, we too can enhance our relationship with Hashem by taking a little time to observe and marvel at His amazing creations. A million of us set out to do just that today at sunrise, observing the pristine Everglades river of grass, along with its all majestic wildlife. In the merit of all of us coming close to Hashem in whatever way we know how, may the Jewish people receive divine protection, may Israel defeat her enemies, and may we experience the shalom that we pray for every day at long last. Mazel tov to all of us who began the current Daf Yomi cycle 4 years ago to the day. May we go from strength to strength the rest of the way. Michael Chessel, here he is with a couple of alligators, and here he is with the minion.
Good morning, Rabbi Sai. It's the Everglades Minion branch chapter of MDY out here in the Everglades on New Year's Eve. Wishing a big Yasher Koyach to everyone that's finishing 4 years of Daf Yomi. It's never too late to jump in. Make sure your friends know. No excuses. Jump on board. Keep on dafin and have a great secular New Year.
If the Olam needs a minion, ever you're stuck in the Everglades, you need a minion. There's the official MDY chapter minion in the Everglades. Towards the end of English daf, we were just in Florida. We went to the Everglades. Michael told me where to go, and we took this tour. They have this what is this, like a train but on wheels? What is it called? A trolley? You know, one of those. So like maybe, 50, 60 people. And the guy asks each person, where are you from? So all the people were basically from Europe. So Germany, France. So when they got to me, I said, I'm from Israel. So my wife starts, I said, no, because they all said Germany this. I said, I'm from Israel. I'm not going to say I'm from Chicago. I'm from Israel. No, not a person said a word to me the whole time. Towards the end of English daf, you asked if a person who's starving allowed to break a window to steal a loaf of bread. It reminded me of a story my father told me about Mayor LaGuardia during the Depression. In New York City, mayors had the right to judge at certain civil trials. If you're the mayor of the city, you could be a judge. Of course, all the reporters in the city showed up to report the cases the mayor would hear. The first case was a man who stole a loaf of bread because his family had no food. He was arrested. When the mayor heard the story, he told the courtroom that he was fining everyone $1 for being guilty of letting the man and his family starve. He collected the dollar from everyone and gave it to the man to buy food. It may not be the halacha, but I think it was a good psak. Eliyahu Bear, Teaneck, New Jersey. And yesterday I read a story that Rav Nachman Seltzer wrote, which I have to look into halacha, why and how it works, and you'll correct me with the details, but basically there's a person who was a big Talmud Chacham and a Yirei Shamayim, and during the war, right at the end of the war, right before the march, he was feeling very ill. He basically looked like he was dead. He had, whatever he had over there. He's dying. And he saw somebody walk by with 4 loaves of bread. So basically he threw a snowball at him. and the guy, like, because he was scared, he lifted it, and one of the loaves of bread fell, and he grabbed it, and he ate it, and he ran out. And right before his p'tira, he told his son that in his entire life he did everything, but he has tsar about that one incident where he stole a loaf of bread from somebody. And he told it over to, this was the son-in-law of Rabbi Eliezer. So the son
this is the son of
this
person, the son of this person who passed away, is Rabbi Yosef's son-in-law. His name is Rabbi Rimmer.
Rimmer was the son-in-law of Rabbi Eliezer. So Rabbi Eliezer said at the Shiva, no, that he was Mekai of the Gemara. This is something deroya. Kapcha deroya. There's a story in the Gemara that's similar to this. I said yesterday that la halacha you have to give back. You have to want to pay the guy money. You can't just take it. And he says this kapcha. So we have to see how. I didn't have time to look into it. Or he says it's a ma'isa. It's mufurish in one of Reb Nachman's books, and he brings from Rabbi Eliezer kapcha deroya. Guy's starving and take. Okay. So ayin sham. Dear Belly, I'm not one to write emails, as the few I sent in the past were not read. But I have a feeling you're going to read this one publicly. In just a couple of days, we'll reach your favorite daf of the Masechta, Daf Samach Aleph. It bears your initials, Stefansky Eliyahu. For what it's worth, I just wanted to point out that Samach Aleph is also the Rosh Tevis for Sitra Achra. Just saying. Love the share so much. Keep on daffing. Yedidya Pereira, Pomona, New York. Pomona, New York, sorry. Chatasi, Ovisi. Pomona, New York. Rabbi Yitzi, I don't read, I read all the emails. I just don't read them in sheer. There's like too many of them to read every day. And maybe yours were boring, I'm just saying. The Koilo, we have a number of monthly sponsors, Baruch. We have 6 monthly sponsors. The Koilo is not sponsored by anybody. I'm looking for Anonymous from Lakewood to sponsor the Koilo. I'll call him later. The Masechta for the unity of Am Yisrael. Parnas HaChodesh, Yosef and Chaya, Sara, for the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. Sorry, Yitzi, I love you, man. I couldn't resist. And I wasn't prepared. Wasn't prepared remarks. It just happened. The Parnas HaChodesh, sometimes, please up there. What am I going to do? This is good one. Yitzi, that was the Sitra Achra. Sorry. This is the Eitzah Harish. Couldn't resist. Now I'm asking Michila from Stefansky Elio. This is different. The month, Parnas HaChodesh, Yosef and Chaya, Sara, for the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. Parnas HaChodesh, Yedidya Pereira, ושושנה, זיווג הגון, בקרוב, חנה רachel bas מיכל, חיים ben shulamis, ושושנה ברכה bas shulamis. Like people go through such tsar. They like, when is the shidduch going to come? Another year goes by, another year. It's unbelievable tsar. Like you have to be a noise ba'olam chaveira. Like feel that tsar. Rav Noam, Avi, Gary, and Yosef for your relentless commitment to MDY. Paras HaChodesh number 4. Lili Nishmat Zechariah ben Moshe. Lili Nishmat Chaya bas Yosef. Paras HaChodesh 5. Ahron Fraiman. It should be a zchus to rebellion to continue Tziyat Shmai and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Thank you, Ahron. Paras HaChodesh. Lili Nishmat Kol Chayei Tzahal Shenaflu Al Kiddush Hashem. Paras HaYoim. Anonymous. Daf Samach Aleph in honor of Reb Eli Stefansky. Shkoyach. Maybe it's the same guy. You never know. Daf the Paras HaYoim.
In honor of Rabbi Stefansky.
Ooh, but you never know with this. It says Reb Eli Stefansky. Okay. Sherwin Kamkar. Lili Nishmat, my grandmother, Iran Bat, Reb Ephraim HaKoyen Aleh Shalom. Paras HaYoim, B'schus, Yehuda ben Malko Gittel finding his zivug b'koroiv, Amen. Paras HaYoim, Elana Avi Spiro, for the refuah shlema of Avram Tzvi ben Elka Miriam. And we don't have a sponsor for the art yet. Rabbi Sai, we are holding in the middle of the story of David HaMelech. David HaMelech asked for water, and the Gemara tells us that he sent 3 giborim to get the water. And the Gemara says, well, it doesn't make sense that he asked for water, then he got the water, and he spilled the water, and he made it into a nesach. Gemara says, we like the pshat that he was asking something in Allah. He was asking a question. What could the question be? So we learned yesterday we have 3 options. Machlaikis, Rav, Ravuna. Was he asking the simple question of what's the halach in Amud Beis? If somebody hides something, if a fire burns something that's hidden, you have a kli that's hidden in a pile of wheat, in a blanket, are you chayiv? Especially when it starts in your shus and travels to another rishus, as the Gemara is going to discuss. Or it was a question during the war. They had the terrorists, they had the plishtim hiding in the wheat, and the wheat is not owned by you. Could you burn the wheat in order to eliminate the threat? And the other question, perhaps, that he sent was, and that's the third question, the animals need to eat. So could I take the barley that I see in front of me, that's not owned by me, could I take that barley, knowing that I'm going to defeat the enemy, and I'm going to take something even more valuable, lentils, and return lentils? And that, the Gemara said, it's not a good idea to do. Why? Because when you steal something, even if you intend to return, you're still called a rasha. However, Melech Paretz Geder, in both of the last two questions, a king does what he feels like. He could kill, he could take wheat from people, he could exchange wheat. So we're holding 5 lines from the bottom. If you go with the third option, that he sent the Sanhedrin a question, can I switch out the barley for lentils? That's why it makes sense. We have a little bit of a difference between the psukim. The same story is brought down in Shmuel and Divrei Hayamim. In Shmuel it says, talks about lentils. Divrei Hayamim talks about barley. Now it makes sense because he was trying to do a switcheroo, just like the question, the third question brought down here. But if the question was, could you barbecue the terrorists inside the wheat? So why is there a difference between Sairim and Adashim? No, you're right. 2 and 3 were. The second question was also an important question that they wanted to know, because they had the non-Jews, the enemy, hiding inside the bales of hay. 2 lines from the bottom. If you say the pshat is, now we're going to go through all the pshat. If you say the pshat is that you want to know, could you burn the plishti inside the bales of hay? David decided, since there's a psak, it's not the greatest idea, just your king, you can do it. So he said, I'm going to save it. So he saved it. In other words, he didn't burn. Question number 2 makes a lot of sense. Could you burn the hay? The answer is, you could, but David HaMelech said, I will save the hay, I won't burn it. But if the question was, like question number 3, can I do a switcheroo? Could I take from the plishti his barley, feed it to my animals, and then give back? Could I take from the Jew the barley, and then later on get from the plishti the more valuable lentils and return it? What does it mean? I saved it. Says it does make sense. He didn't allow the switcheroo. That's also saving. He saved the switch. He saved the trade. Huh? I hear. How do you know it's ribbis? Maybe you're right. Maybe give the same value. If you want to get out of it.
What's a Chaya to say more?
It just happens to be. Yeah, it's different.
It's a good thing.
Listen, if he took barley and returned barley, I don't know that it's the biggest problem, especially during war. You probably have to ask the shayla anyways. It's stealing, but he returned 1 bale of hay and gave back a bale of hay. This is different. I'm giving you a bale of hay. I'm giving you something else. I'm saying that lentils are worth more. I don't know. The Gemara didn't really talk about it, but I hear what you're saying. It's a problem of ribbis. Okay. Bishleim, the last line. Bishleim mahanitarti. If you go with question number 2 or question number 3, so that's why there's 2 psukim about Sairim and Adashim. But if the question was just a hidden object, so what's the difference? Adashim, lentils. Okay, so similar to what we said before, the main question that they sent to the Sanhedrin is, what's the halacha by Taman? Does it go like Rabbi Yehuda? Does it go like Rabbanan? Taman Beish Potter? Taman Beish Chayav? In addition, there's other issues. Could you do a switch? Could you kill a plishti that's inside and hiding in the hay? According to those 2 questions, it makes sense that David HaMelech didn't want to drink the water. He didn't want to drink the water, meaning he didn't want to be mekel. He wanted to be machmer. He didn't want to take a heter from a rav, that because he's a king, you get away with it. We're going to see in a second, there's a little bit problematic what happened here. Why? Because they almost lost their lives asking this question. Yes, they were very strong and they were powerful, but they went through the enemy territory to find out the answer. So you didn't want to talk about something that they did with the Isser. So, I don't want to benefit from something that these Giborim did that's not so oiska halten lahalacha. It's not the best. That's not how we act. We don't put ourselves in danger to find out the halacha. So it means he took the water, he took the halacha that they brought back from Sanhedrin, he poured it out. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want your halacha. But what if he was just asking a question in halacha about Tamon, they taught him the answer in halacha. What does it mean? It already happened. It's not something. In the last two questions, he's asking, can I go ahead and trade? Can I go ahead and burn? And they said, yes, you can. I won't. I'm spilling out the water. I'm not going to trade. I'm not going to burn. What if he asked him a question about Talmud, meaning, my soldiers yesterday burned somebody's bale of hay. And inside there was valuables and they destroyed it. Do I have to pay? Do I not have to pay? And he sent the halacha. So what does it mean? I don't want to listen to your halacha. They sent the halacha. They said you have to pay. It already happened. My love of says I'm not going to mention the three Giborim. Yes, I'm going to keep the halacha, but I'm not going to give them any honor by saying, oh, the Giborim came and told me this halacha. Why? I have a Kabbalah from Shmuel Navi. If somebody is risking his life for Torah, that you don't say, it seems like any Torah in his name. If he wrote a sefer, you don't say it in his name. He risked his life, he doesn't have value for life. A person like that, we don't say over his Torah. So these three people, even though they're sent by him himself, they went and they risked their lives to know Allah. I'm not going to say it over in their name. One of my favorite stories, I said it a number of times, but not in Baba Kama, is that Rabbi Zal Meltzer knocked on his son-in-law, on his nephew's door at like 3 a.m. in Yerushalayim. And his nephew was shocked because there was a otzer. How do you say otzer in English? When you tell you a curfew. There's a curfew then. British mandate, if they caught you outside, they could shoot you to death on the spot. And he risked his life. And he asked his son, he says, like, Uncle, Rabbi Zal Meltzer, the Galad Dardan, what are you doing there? Why are you knocking on the door? He says, I have a major problem. I can't sleep. I have a shaila in a Rambam. Maybe you could help me out. So they went through it back, forth, and then Rabbi said, oh, beautiful. Oh, what a pshat. And he opens up the door to leave, and he says, don't leave. You're risking your life. He says, no, I got to get back home. And he left. And that was the story until after he was nifter. And Rabbi Zal Meltz's Rebbitzin said, that's a very nice story that he said over. Somebody said over the story. How he risked, he says that wasn't the story. Let me tell you the real story. The real story was that Rabbi Zal Meltzer wanted to publish his sefer. And the publisher said, you have to wait for 2 years. How many could we already publish? And then he made contact with him. He said, somebody pulled out and there's a slot available. If you could give me your sefer right now, you got a day or two, I could print your sefer right now. So Rabbi went through his sefer and he saw something he didn't like. He saw that he has 2 questions or answers from 2 of his nephews. But the third one, who was the Rashiv of Chevron at the time, or something like that, Rav Chevroni, I forgot which one, I have it in a book in my house. He didn't have a Dvar Torah from him, and he felt that he'll be slighted, he'll feel bad. So he risked his life to not make his nephew feel bad. So she said it wasn't about risking for Torah, because that would be a problem according to our Gemara. You don't risk your life for that. He risked his life for midas, for bein adam chaveroi, and he knew the answer. He wanted to get it out of him. He said, "No, but what's pshat around this way, that way?" Until his nephew said it like he already thought. He said, "Oh, you're beautiful," and he wrote in the sefer, "My nephew said this Torah is beautiful Torah," and then he was able to print the sefer. Says the Gemara, it says that David HaMelech took the water, poured it out for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like a carbon for Hashem. If you say these last 2 answers, it means that I have a kula, I could burn the bale of hay and kill the enemy, but I'm not going to. Why? I'm doing it l'shem shemayim. But if he got back the answer about Taman, Yechayiv, Yepot, or whatever it is, how do the words Vayasech fit here? What did he pour out? He didn't listen to the halacha. He did listen to it. Why is it considered that you did something special for Hashem? Says Gemara, Damrinu Mishma the Gemara. Vayasech Hashem means he just said this is the halacha without mentioning the three Gibarim and sort of the problem that they had to go through in order to achieve this halacha. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Moshe Cohen. L'zchus for his parnasa and growth in ruchnius. Avra gader shugavoya arba amos. So you have a person who created a fire in his own domain, and the question is, up to what point is he liable? He made a fire. He thought it's contained within his barbecue grill, within the fire pit that he has in his backyard. And then it went out and caused damage. So the Gemara says, well, if he had a nice fence, a nice brick fence, that as is, we could hear the F-16s, by the way. They're not 35s, maybe. The 35s don't make such noise. After he hears the after. Anyways, oh my God, the Shugavoy Arba Amois. So then he's potter. He did what he needed to do. He went to sleep, and unfortunately the fire crawled over the wall and caused damage. Potter. Oy derech harabim. Derech harabim means a pathway that's 16 amas, like a Rosh Hashanah. We learned in Shabbos that it's 16 amas. We learned from the wagons by the Mishkan, 16 amas. Oy nar. Or if the fire, here you see the fire's crossing, beautiful. Then you're potter. And the Gemara is going to say, we have a Mishnah right on top of Samach Aleph Amud Beis that says, how far do you have to distance your flame from the other property? Some say it's like 280 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet. We'll see. This is like a kula. 16 feet is enough. 16 amish was 32 feet. Yeah. Here it went over an hour. We're going to see in the Gemara that it's possible that the nar doesn't even have to have water. It has depth. It's cold. Potter. In all these cases, Potter says the Gemara. Vatanyo. Maybe it's a good time to say one of the best jokes about real estate. We could say it. Why not? This is the inyan of Chazara. There's 3 Jews sitting around. Don't laugh yet. Save that for the punchline, okay? Kila, you never heard it. It's 3 Judah. You get ready. There's 3 Ashi. This time, when Judah starts, then you go. Okay. There's 3 Jews sitting around the table schmoozing. Said, "You heard about what happened to me? One of my buildings burnt down to the ground, and the insurance paid me double of its value. It's unbelievable how much money I made." So the guy said, "You think that's something? I had a water flood in my basement. It destroyed the mold and everything. I got 3 times the amount." 4th guy says, "That's nothing. Listen to this. I had an earthquake and knocked down the whole building, and I got 5 times."
How'd you do that?
He's back. I'm Michael you. He said, "How do you do that?" Okay, it's an anti-Semitic joke, but we're Jews. And Botanya, Ovra Goder Shu Gavoy Arba Amas. We just learned in the Mishnah, you have 4 amas. The fence is approximately 8 feet tall. You're good. But it says in the Braisa that if it went over a fence that's 4 amas, 8 feet tall, Chayev, you're Chayev, it's contradiction. So basically, just understand the sugya real quickly. There's a simple idea in Shas, ad v'lo ad b'chlal, or ad v'ad b'chlal. It sounds confusing, but it's very simple. When the Gemara gives us a number, 4 amas, does it include that, or does it include that final number? So in other words, the question here is, what if somebody made a wall that's exactly 4 amas? Exactly. Is that good or not good? And now our Mishnah says it's okay. In another Braisa, it seems like it's not okay, but it is okay. Because it will be a machlokes in our Mishnah between the Mishnah and the Braisa. What do we say? That the number mentioned is included or not included? That's it. That's the whole piece, and it's 5-6 lines. But then however, God is Shugavaya Rams Chayav Amar Papa Tana Didan. Our Mishnah Kochashim Milamalo Lamata. It started from a high number, it goes lower. In other words, it started from 6, and it goes 5, 4, 3. Sheish Amos Potter, Chomish Amos Potter, Ad Arba Amos Potter. So Ad Vad Bichlal. I'm including that number 4 is good. Potter. Tana Bara, but the Tana of the Braisa Milamata Lamalik Kochashim. He started from the lower number. Shtei Amos. What's halacha by 2? Chayav. Shalosh Amos Chayav. Ad Arba Amos Chayav. If it's 4 Amos, Chayav. So he's Ad V'loyad B'chlal. I'm not including the 4 because 4 is actually Potter. The bottom line is 4 is Potter. Omar Rova Arba Amos Shomru the Potter Afilu B'zdei Koitze. So if you look over here, you'll see this actually depicts it beautifully. You have a person that has a Rosh Hashanah, he has a backyard. You can see by the way his white fence encircles his property, and he has a flame. He made a fire in his backyard. His neighbor on the other side, it's hard to see, but they're kaitzim. I put there, it says kaitzim. You see, like in the small word, kaitzim, the thorns. Very easy, very flammable. So says Rava, I don't care what the guy on the other side has. Even if he has thorns on the other side, he's potter, even though it's flammable. There was a very wealthy person who was driving his Lamborghini or whatever, and he sees a guy on the side of the road, like eating thorns and then grass. He stops his car. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm starving. I have nothing to eat." He says, "You have nothing to eat? All right, come to my car. I'll take you to my house." He says, "That's very nice of you, but I have a wife. I have 2 kids." So he thinks about it. He says, "Okay, fine. Come, get into my car." Yeah, he brings in the car, and he gets all the way to his house. And as they're getting out, the guy says, "It's so nice of you taking me to my house. You taking me to your house. I can't get over the chesed. Mam's like Rocky. I can't get over the chesed." He says, "It's okay. It's okay. I have a lot of thorns and a lot of grass here for you guys to eat. You can take care of my house." You didn't have where it was going. So I'm going to say now, Ma'isa, they can write. This is not a writable story. Not for a second. Not even for a second. Omar Papa. What?
Tell them what I used to say about you all the time.
The what?
You're the person with the most stories I know that I can't write any of them.
And one of them that you wrote is really on the cusp. The toilet one is like even that one was very. Says the Gemara. You keep on coming back every day just to hear these stories you can't even write.
These are great stories.
Very nice. All right, I'm getting whacked here from all sides. It's like this Rabbi Schoenberg, you're next. Fine. So if you take a look at this picture, Yoshi did very nice. There's a purple line. The wall has to be 4 amos above the kaitzim. You have to be above the shmutz or whatever you want to call it. You see there's 1 am on the bottom of the wall, that's nothing. That doesn't count for anything because that's the height of the thorns. You need 4 amos from the end of wherever the thorns are. The thorns are 3 amos tall, then you need 4 amos above that, so you need a 7 amma wall. No. Then you would be potter. You're not going to make your wall like that. But are you potter or chayav? If you already have an existing wall that accounts for this, then great. If not, too bad. Then don't make a fire. Sit there and watch it all night. Don't leave your fire unattended.
Unless the guy like mows his thorns, there's going to be some higher and some lower. From the top thorn or the bottom thorn? The top thorn.
It's a thorny.
Yeah. It's good. You accept, let him take out his stuff on you today. Why should I take it all? Now you feel my pain. I'm doing great. I'm actually now doing better than ever. Hey, somebody take it from him. Why should I? Leave me alone. I'm good.
You okay?
Yeah. He said I have a real thorn on my side. Wow, that was good. That was very good, Lauren. Lauren, I have actually, somebody sent me a whole thing about these puns that would fit you very well with the shar and a bar and oy vey, this and that. Okay, you'll send it to him. You know what I'm talking about, Yosef. Beautiful. Check this out. Koilachas means the fire When I left my flame, it looked like it was contained, it was behaving nicely, it was nice and straight, everything is good. Then you're potter. Aval bin chfefes, take a look right here, what happens? Oh, when it's, you could tell that this guy is out of control. He's bent, he's ready to destruct. Even if you have 100 amma, 200 feet in your backyard, that's not going to help anything. Like everybody remembers the tragedy in the Carmel. When the fire is out of control, it consumes roads and cars, and there's no stopping it. It just moves. Ushmul Omar.
Even if the gate is 100 amas.
No, I don't think the gate. No. Yeah?
The gate is high at 100 amas. That's the shot here. Maybe it's Machlokes in art school in him, but he says the gather is high 100 amas.
Could be. No, I feel time out. No, he's right. He is right. It would be the fence is 100 amma tall. Yeah. Why? Because of the next line. Chaya. So even if the fence is 200 feet tall, it doesn't help. I guess there's two pshatim in Rashi really. If we're talking about a small flame, a large flame, we're going to go with the large flame. So even 100, I guess it's wild, out of control, it could climb the fence. Okay. Shmuel says we're talking about that the flame is already bent, it's already out of control. So over here it's definitely talking about the fence. Take a look over here. If it's tall like this, so even if you have a tiny little fence that's 2 inches tall, potter. It's a good thing you put 2 inches because it could look like it's from a distance, but no, it's a tiny, tiny fence. In other words, if it's contained, it's contained. We don't care about the size of the fence. As long as, I guess you need something though. How that worked, Bisfara, I don't know. Okay. That's what I know, because it's talking about I think it depends on what shot you learn. So according to that pshat, one pshat is derech, one pshat is not. Okay, we're yaitza both. Tankim will say the Rav. We have a raya to Rav that it's only our mission is talking about a straight fire, but a bent fire is there's no shear. And over this is also talking about derech, rechoiv, b'koilachas. When does a 16 amma, let's say, help? When it's straight up. But when it's bent, and it has fuel to fuel the fire. I feel like mea mil chayav. Mea mil is like 3/4 of a mil, I should say, is 3/4 of a mile. So times 100. Over nar, 75 miles. It doesn't matter how wide it is. A fire in the California fires, they go hundreds of miles. Over nar, or shlulas shem rechavim shmoina amos potter. If it goes past a river, or a shlulas is a body of water, not so much a puddle. If it's shmoina amos potter. Derech harabim. Mantana, who says our Mishnah that's 16 amos, like we see in Amud Beis, the Snan Rebbe, then you are potter. The others there say it's a much, much larger shear, as we're going to get to Amud Beis soon. Oynar, Rab Oynar Mamish. There's a river, he means literally a river. Ushmul Amar Arita de Daloi. Arita de Daloi is this, right over here. They did irrigation channels, and if there's a little bit of a channel, that's also enough to separate and say that your potter, the fire is not going to jump the channel. Says Gemara, so if you say it's a river, so the river doesn't need water. Why? Because it's deep, it's cold. It just had water the other day, so the fire is not going to get through. But if you say it's one of these channels, it's enough whether or not you need water. If it's the channel, it's necessary to have water. It's not enough to have just the channel. It's not awesome, right? Because we learned one of the channels are usually 1 by 1 amma. It's only 2 feet deep, so that's not really enough to stop it. They're not awesome. Ve'elu mafsikim lepeah. The halacha is, does the Olam remember when you chayiv for peah? For what? Let's say are tomatoes and cucumbers chayiv and peah? No. What's chayiv and peah? Dagon, lentils, things that last. You have a field and you're chayiv to give the corner of the field to the ani. So now you have a body of water running right through your field. That divides your field into two. Now you're chayiv 2 times peah. Hanachal, v'hashlulis, v'derech hayochid, v'derech harabim. Interesting. Even if you have a 4 amma sidewalk, that's enough to separate your property. And then it says v'derech harabim, even if you have 16 ammas, which one is obvious. Once you say 4, certainly 16. My shlulis, what is this puddle? This is a place where water is contained. That's where water goes, like a small little lake, a body of water. If you look at these channels, they bring prosperity, they bring food, nourishment to human beings. Before they invented irrigation systems and all that, and pumps, and they would cut a ditch in the ground. So this brought shalom, it brought money and parnasa to people. If you say it's the grain water, so certainly if you have irrigation ditch, in other words, so we're talking about pain now, not fire. If a puddle, a haphazard puddle, or some body of water that just happened to be there divides your field in half, so certainly if you have a nice straight irrigation that you put in there that separates your field, that's you chayiv twice. If it says only ditches, but these larger puddles of water don't cause a break. One, because those are just indentations in the ground. Every surface has some sort of indentation, some sort of bowl that water just sits there, and that's not enough to break up your land. Says the Eli Mishnah sponsored by Moshe Cohen. Daf Yomi Amud Beis. A person makes a bonfire in his backyard. When, up until what point are you chayiv? At kama taver ad leika. When is it your responsibility? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah yomer that roy noisoi ki'ilu hu be'emtza beis kor. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says it has to be a base core, which is literally 280 feet approximately from the center to your neighbor's property. So I don't know where exactly they have property. In Pomona, maybe. Pomona, no, seriously, who has a 280? It's double than that.
In the old days in Pomona, they had
560. How much is that? Yeah? No, I think it's, who said? Amos? Yeah. Exactly. Divided in half.
It's 134.
No, Amos. Amos times 2 is feet. I'm talking about feet now. I was saying feet. 280 feet. Just divide that in half for 90 meters. It's 90 meters. Your property, no, from the center, 180 meter wide property. That's huge. I don't know anybody that has that. It's more like 10 meters or 32 feet. So that's what we had in Amud Aleph. This is the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer. He's kind of makel. It's more like 100 feet from the flame to your neighbor. Says Reb Shimon, it seems like he's saying that you always have to pay. You always have to pay. Whatever it consumes, that's what you're going to pay. Says the Gemara, it doesn't make sense that Reb Shimon would say something like that. The less Reb Shimon shiur b'dleika, Reb Shimon doesn't hold that there's sometimes you don't have to pay. So this is not 100% a tanur, but this is a good one. So I want to show you. A tanur is larger. It's the same idea, just it's larger. Here. So obviously, it's not like the ovens that we have today that are contained, and you could even touch it and you won't really get burned, and it has triple glass and fans, I don't know what. In those days, it made a lot of smoke, a lot of heat came out of the top. So you are not permitted to put a tanur, this oven, in your house. Why? If you have a distance from the top of your tanner to your ceiling, like approximately 8 feet, very tall ceiling, then you're good. Less than that, you're a danger, says Rashi, to your neighbors. I want to remind the Olam that in 1870, the entire Chicago basically burnt down. The big fire of Chicago, 17,000, close to 18,000 structures were burnt. That's a lot of houses, a lot of buildings. Why? Because a neighbor, the O'Leary, whatever you want to say happened over there, the cow kicked the thing. The bottom line is, one person caused the fire, and it spread to the neighbor, and it spread to the other neighbor, and before you know it, 17,000, 18,000 houses and buildings are burnt to the ground.
Got the insurance money.
There's no, you know how much that is in today's, they said it was $222 million worth of damage. That's $5 billion of damage today. And the point is that a neighbor could say, I don't allow you to have this dangerous thing in your house. Who's going to protect me? When you have this flaming device that's not protected, I have a taina against you. I want you to stop. What if you put it in the second floor? That sounds even more dangerous. So for that, you need like 1 foot of cement underneath. You need some sort of protection between the bottom of this device that's really hot and could burn the floor and then burn the neighbor's house down. Ubekira, if it's a smaller kind of oven, then you only need 1 tefach of this tiach, of this cement. That's enough. Vim hizik, mishalem asher hizik. So the Tanna Kama says, okay, you went through all this. You did 3 tefachim, but then it went out and burnt your neighbor's house down. You're still chayiv. Argues Reb Shimon Oimer Lein Emru Shir Nalolu Elishim Hizik Patim L'Shalom. Not true. Why did Chachamim institute 3 tefachim and 1 tefach to say that if you did what they told you went with the rules, then you don't have to pay? So how is it that the last line in the Mishnah says that Reb Shimon says you always have to pay? Shalem, Yishalem, Amavis, you always have to pay. Over here it says if you listen to the rules, you abide by what Chacham tell you, you're potter. All of a sudden, the Mishnah says you're chayiv, and that's why we have to change the pshat in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah, what Reb Shimon was saying is not hakol lefi adleika, like we understood that you're chayiv in every single case. Rather, we have to measure the fire. What kind of flame was it? Was it bent 1 inch this way, 10 inches that way? Was it a 20-foot flame? Imagine you do a like ba'omer fire. It's literally some of these things. You know what I'm talking about? These 30, 40-foot flames, and you walk away. So Bezin is going to see the video. It was crazy, out of control, and there was Rav Soda everywhere. How do you see Rav Soda? The pallets, thank you, everywhere. You're chayiv. They're going to say you're chayiv. I don't care how much it burned and how far away it is. You're chayiv. They say, he made a tiny little barbecue. He had stones all around, and the flame was it was not even the flame anymore. They're going to say you're potter. So they're going to evaluate each and every one. So yes, Reb Shimon says sometimes you're potter. Not like we thought that you're always chayiv. It was a small flame, contained flame, straight, not bent, no wind. You're potter. It makes a lot of sense, and the halach is like him. Says the Eli Mishnah, sponsored by Moshe Cohen. If a person, this is the Mishnah that we learned many times, a person lit a Gadish, and inside the Gadish there were Kalim. So we have a machlokes. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Mishalem Asher B'Soichai Tamun Be'eish Chayiv. V'Chamayrim and Mishalem El Gadish Shel Chitin Oy Shel Sa'irim. This is just for Chazara purposes. Which one of these 4 words, Koitzim, Gadish, Kama, Hasada, is the word that we learned, Tamun, yesterday I think it was, or maybe the day before, we learned from this pasuk, the 4 words, one of the words teaches us Tamun Potter. Anybody remember? Which one? Kama, very good. Red, Hakama. I figured if I would just tell you, you'd say, yeah. When you try to remember, and you don't remember, and then you Oh, so now it's going to be very interesting that Chachamim hold that the placement, or whatever the word is, there's the place that the kalim are inside and they burn, you must pay for that volume. You take whatever volume that box is of gold and it burned, you don't have to pay for the gold. But if the box is a 1 by 1, you have to pay him 1 by 1 by 1 wheat. Rabbi Isai is the story. You had a poor goat tied to the bale of hay, and the guy burns the bale of hay, and there's a slave standing by. The slave obviously is free to run. And the V'nisrafim, they both die. Chayav, you are chayav. Now, obviously, if you have a pencil, you should write in over here. What does chayav mean? You're chayav just for the goat. Thank you, bar mitzvah boy. Not for the slave. Why not for the slave? Because he has enough brains, he can run away. Rabbi Isai, again, if you have an issue with this, first of all, understand that nobody's ever died like this. It never happened. We need to know the halacha to know what happens if you kill somebody in a situation where you could get away, not get. It talks about like this. I don't think anybody ever burned what? Teaching principles. Thank you. Teaching principles in halacha. When are you considered a murderer? When are you not? You gave the guy enough chance to run away, and he didn't run away. You're not a murderer. It says over here. If the slave is tied, like so, the slave is tied. Now you burn the actual gadish, and in return it burns the slave alive, and the goat can run away. So over here we have the famous idea of Kim lebed rabbinei, kam lebed rabbinei. Say it any way you want. Basically, if you're already chayiv misa, since the person that killed the slave is a murderer, so we give him capital punishment. If there's eidim, if there's witnesses, and they warned him, asra, capital punishment. Once there's capital punishment, there's no other punishment. You don't pay for anything, so you don't even pay for the goat. Now, what's very interesting is even if there's no capital punishment in this case, because nobody witnessed it, but we found out later and he admitted to it, he doesn't have to pay for the goat. Why? Because it's a case of he could have been put to death, and therefore he doesn't pay. It's like choyte niskar mendi aychab. And Chachamim admit that if somebody puts a house on fire, he has to pay for everything inside, even though there's a concept of tamon, and in the house everything is hidden, all the jewelry is in the safe and everything. You have to pay for everything. Why? People know that that's what you do. That's how you hide it, so you can't say, "Oh, I didn't know." The machlokes is like as we discussed. You lit the fire in your backyard and went to your friends, to your neighbor's backyard. The Rebbe Yehuda says that you're Chaya for Tamon. Rabbanan Patri. But if you go into your friend's backyard and you say, "Oh, I'm potter because it's Tamon," the Gemara in the Havamina thought that everybody agrees to this principle that if you go into your friend's property and you start a fire, you're chayiv on Tamon, even according to Chachamim. Amalei Rava, no. Ask Rava a very simple question. If it's true what you're saying, that once I go into my friend's property, I'm chayiv. So why does the Mishnah tell us two cases? One if a person lights a bale of hay, and one if a person lights a mansion. Just say two cases of a bale of hay. One case, the fire started in my property. The second case, the fire started in your property. In your property, I'm always chayiv. It's a much cleaner case. Why do I have to jump to another case? Live like the famous question in the Gemara. It should ask within itself the same case of Gadish. When are we talking about? When are you potter? When you light it in your backyard and you didn't realize it went and crawled over the wall and destroyed your friend's property. But if I went into my friend's property, Rava says beautifully. There's two machlokes in over here. First of all, we have a machlokes. Yes, you're right. When it started in your own property. The Rabbi Yehuda mechayev atam beis, Rabbanan tzavri loy mechayev. So Chachamim say that if it starts in my property, I don't care if it burned your wallet that you never ever put inside of Rabbanan tzavri loy mechayev, even on something that you do put in. There's two categories. There are kalim that you sometimes hide. People hide certain things, like these guys. If you live on a farm, so you'll hide your yoke and whatever you need to hide from thieves. You hide it inside the hay. So if it's normal for somebody to put it inside, there's less of a reason that you should be potter. You should have known that people hide these kind of things in there. But if the fire started in my property, I don't care what I should have known or not known. It started in my property. Chacham say you're potter, even in these items that you should have known. But there's also another machlokes. What if you started the flame in your friend's backyard? And over there, what do you mean you should have known, not known? Don't go into your friend's backyard and start fires. Even things that are not popular to hide, like a wallet with money. Rabban say, even in a case where you're very negligent, you went into your friend's property, started a fire. So things that are normal to hide, like these things we see over here, and we even have a little bit of a, here are these things, they're hidden inside the Gadish. Say Chachamim, that is what you have to pay for. But a wallet, loy mishalem. All right, Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.